Thank you very much for joining the program. First of all, your reaction to the government deciding to ban rallies just as your supporters were taking to the streets.
Well, just to give you the background, the Supreme Court asked the President of Pakistan to fix an election date. That date is fixed for the 30th of April, so which means 50 days left. So my party decided to do an open our election campaign by a rally in Lahore today. The police had given us permission. They had approved the route of the rally. And suddenly this morning, the permission was taken away, but not just taken away. We had these heavy contingents of police, and these people coming to attend a peaceful rally were hit with tear gas shells, water cannon with some chemical in it, which people are still recovering from. And then police just charging these protesters, breaking their cars, and so many people got injured. But one, Bilal, this guy was killed in police custody.
How do you interpret what you're describing as this government back and forth on the rules about holding a rally?
Well, the issue is that the government, all the 12 parties sitting in government and their backers, they're petrified of elections. Because so far, in the last 8 months, out of the 37 by-elections, my party has won 30 out of them. So they're petrified of general elections. They did not want the general elections. We went into the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court then decided to hold elections, and this date of 30th April was announced by the President. So we were just going according to our schedule to start our election campaign. But it is clear that the government does not want election. The parties sitting in the government, they want to get out of the election. So my worry is that the idea was to create a law and order situation today, and we really restrained our workers. We called off the rally because we were scared that there would be people killed, and that would be used as a pretext to get out of the elections.
Some might answer that while the government is perhaps afraid of the upcoming elections, you're also afraid of complying with judicial rules. The police did show up at your house in Lahore only a few days ago to arrest you, to compel you to show up in court, and you evaded arrest.
Well, let me tell you something. So far, there are 76 cases against me. I'm charged for terrorism, charged for blasphemy, charged for sedition in these 77 cases. And these cases have been made in the last few months. So I've been going from one courtroom to the other. What happened was, when I was shot, this assassination attempt on me, for 4 months, my leg wasn't, I had 3 bullets in my leg, so I couldn't go out of my house. So that's when they started, the cases mounted. They wanted to be me appear in courts. And so it's just a question of how do you deal with 77 cases? I mean, how many court appearances do you make? So it is just one other way of getting me out of the way to contest the elections. So they want either to imprison me or to disqualify me, because they're scared that my party, thanks to the Almighty, is one of the most popular party in Pakistan's history. So because they're scared, that's why they're trying to find ways either to get out of elections or get me out of the way.
There are provincial elections, as you mentioned, in April, and then national elections later this year. If they both go ahead as scheduled, can you legitimately run in national elections if, as you say, there are 70-plus cases currently pending against you?
All the cases, I'm afraid, are frivolous. Whenever they go into a court of law, these cases will be dismissed. Now imagine, I just give you an example. There's a terrorism. I'm supposed to have committed terrorism.
Sorry to interrupt, but if that's the case, and if that's why, if that's what you believe, why didn't you show up in court?
Because I couldn't show up in court. There were reasons why I was injured. So for a lot of time, for 4 months, I was house ridden. I couldn't really, my leg wasn't, the doctors would not allow me to travel. And they knew it. But before that, I was attending all court cases. But it's only since I was I was shot, that's when I didn't attend courts. And since then I have again, but look, it's physically not possible to attend so many court cases. So my lawyers are trying to sort of work out a schedule. The second problem is security. My life is under threat because the people who try to assassinate me are in power. And so we've asked from the courts, we want protection. The court must give me protection before I can appear in courts. Because, I repeat, the people who I have nominated in my assassination attempt are sitting in power.
Right, and just for our viewers, I want to make clear that they deny that, including the Prime Minister, who said he has nothing to do with the shooting against you late last year. How do you see the rest of this year playing out for you with these two elections coming up?
Well, you know, the biggest concern right now for my political party is to protect me, because there's a serious threat to my life. And the reason is, I repeat, that these people sitting in power are petrified of losing the elections, which they will, which is why they don't want elections. So the question is, how do I campaign and yet have a secure enough environment? Question is, how do I go to these courts? I made 3 court appearances, and unfortunately there was just no protection there. That's why we've approached the court and said, look, there must be some police protection. But the problem is, the people who are supposed to protect me are the ones who are trying to kill me.
But what's your plan for this year? Is it win elections and then ride it back into office and into power in Islamabad?
Well, the elections, national elections, are scheduled for October. But because we were in power in 2 of the 4 provinces, we dissolved our assemblies here. And so, to hold elections, so the Supreme Court then asked the President to give a date, which is 30th April. And on 30th April, we hope to contest in these 2 provincial assemblies, which we were already in power. And what we were hoping was that since it's 65% of Pakistan, these 2 provinces, there would be a national election. And the idea for national election is because our economy has gone into a tailspin. Pakistan is facing the worst economic crisis in its history. So the idea was to hold elections, which would then bring political stability, and which would then bring economic stability. So this is really why we went for elections in our 2 provinces.
Imran Khan, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, thank you very much for coming on the program today.